All right. Well, I think we're live, Clement. So should we just jump in? All right,
Yeah,
Alex,
sure.
thank you for setting that up, my friend. And we'll share that around. And so we'll probably have some people drop in live. Big hello to everyone joining us on the live stream here at Clout Forum. And so I'm Mark. This is Alex. We're the hosts holding the space for Clout Forum, inviting all kinds of interesting people that are getting active on BitClout. And just diving into your stories and bringing out the personalities and characters. And today we are very fortunate to have Master Clement. How do you say your last name? Bourcart?
Bourcart, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Clement Bourcart. Awesome. I got it pretty close.
Really good.
How about we start with a really intense question, Clement? How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, no, thanks. It's more honor being here. I mean, I've been watching you guys' show for like a couple of months, really, since I've been on BitClout. So it's great to like get to talk to you guys now. So thanks a lot for.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, man, absolutely. Pleasure. And thanks for coming in and thanks for supporting. So where are you from, Clement? Where in the world are you based?
Yeah, I'm from France. You can probably guess. I've been working hard on my accent, but it's still very, very thickly French. But I'm based in the UK, so been living in the UK for about 7-8 years now. So UK,
gotcha.
but I'm from France. Yeah.
Nice. And so one of the things that you stand out with straight away on BitClout is, and that we've been sharing as well is you're a writer. And when Alex told me that, he goes, we've got Clement, we can get him on and chat with him. And I there's so many people and amazing pieces on this platform. I jumped in, threw your name in, and I thought, there's a little bit of gold sitting right here. And I have a big love for writers because I feel it's such an important thing, right? To take these we've got such an information overload. And it's really down to people like yourself that have the talent for being able to take that and then put it into a digestible way we can begin to absorb it, right? So how long have you been writing for? Has that always been a passion for you, or?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's I've been sort of writing really since I was a kid, like even back to sort of primary school. But it's kind of the classic thing of you go through life, you go to school, university, you get a job, you start to climb up the corporate ladder, and then you kind of lose out the sense of curiosity, creativity, passion, really that you used to have maybe when you were younger. So I've only reconnected with kind of the writing, my passion for writing, content creation, just about a year ago. Actually, it's not too long ago. And yeah, I started to write blog posts and articles through Medium primarily, which is basically the biggest kind of blogging platform at the moment. And I've been doing it full time for the past 4 months now. So I've been really kind of going all in on it. And yes, exactly like you said, it's kind of a really good medium for simplifying things that are quite complex. So I write a lot about things like blockchain, crypto, NFTs, and obviously BitClout, in a way that hopefully brings more of the mainstream general public on board as well. And like you said, I think the power of words is that you can break down quite simple. Make things much simpler than what they see from the outside. So that's what I've been trying to do, really.
Yeah, and I had a quick look at some of your Medium articles, and you do it really well. It's a talent. It's I love writing myself, but I can be quite complicated at times, and it's such a easy trap. And to see how you can really do that, and in a way, it's like you are a magician, right? It's kind of the way I see writers is like you're using these words, these spellings to create these spells to help people access a kind of stream of consciousness, right? Like a thought stream that we share. So no, you definitely have. So please do check out Clement on say it
Medium.
Again. It's Medium. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just the biggest writers platform.
All right, so you're right. I mean, it's the hardest bit is to try and be simple. Like when you read it, it looks like it's really simple and seamless, but actually, exactly, it's very tempting to just go into the complex details and go down the rabbit hole. But it takes actually a lot of effort to kind of write in a simple way. So yeah, that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah. So speaking of which, what is your process? Because you say you're doing it full time. So what does that look like? Like, what does your weeks look like?
Yeah, so it's it's a cliche of the blogger who like sits on the beach and writes for like half an hour a day and makes a few plans a month. It's not really the reality of it. So I'm kind of split between two different things at the moment. So my main bit is actually writing my own pieces of content for the Medium platform. So they have their own they call it the Medium Partner Program, which lets you earn through your writing based on your engagement. So how many people actually read your writing, comment on it, really engage with it.
Nice.
And that's it's kind of, I try to have quite a strict routine. So I really like the approach of someone like Seth Godin, who's like very much focused on just stick to a process where you say, I'm going to write for so many hours every day between that time and this time, produce a certain number of articles, come up with 5 new title ideas every day. And it gives you a really good structure that you can have over time, because I've been doing it for so many months now, it becomes a second habit. It becomes really natural. At this point, it's really hard to kind of like get yourself, even if you have the motivation, at some stage, you're going to kind of slow down or get burnt out. But for me, it's all about having a really strong like structure, where I'm saying I'm writing for, these hours in the morning and the afternoon. I'm coming up with 5 new title ideas that I'm going to work on the next day. And basically I just keep doing that. And it's, although it might sound quite repetitive, it gives me the framework, just keep going, just stick to a structure, regardless of whether I feel motivated or not. I always do it because it's like second habit, but it kind of second nature right now. It's very similar to what artists do, I'm sure, in other fields, or even like athletes or whatever, like all these kind of pursuits that are very kind of uncertain, where it's like motivation is not enough. You kind of need a process around it. But for me also, community is very important, which is where BitClout is such a great place. So, I'm part of a group of writers on Slack, and we hold each other to account. We review each other's work and really kind of help each other improve. And we're starting to do that on BitClout. Actually, we have our own kind of Telegram channel for Medium writers on BitClout, which is really cool because there's like 30 or maybe 50 people on it by now, and it's growing like day by day. Yeah, which is really cool because BitClout is becoming an outlet for, obviously it's an awesome community of very passionate people, but within that community, there's a sub-community of content creators that get together and really kind of encourage each other, and share each other's work and so on. And I think that's a really good part of what BitClout as a platform enables you to do, whether you're a writer or an entrepreneur or a painter or whatever your thing is. You can find your community in that, and you can. What I've been trying to do really is to bring people on from my own network of writers from Medium onto BitClout and get that interaction going there. And with people like Tim Denning or Tom Kugler, was also a top writer on Medium, was really, really super active on BitClout. That really helps to build that sense of community. And that's a really cool thing.
So what's been the response in general as you've been reaching out? Because obviously BitClout is, incredibly early. I think a lot of people it's a bit hard to even understand the concept of how early we are, right? Yet incredible opportunity. So what's been the general response? You've been bringing people like Tim Denning and these other characters.
Yeah, it's been interesting, right? So with Tim, I've been sort of like pestering him for, I think, probably about a month, like telling him all about BitClout on Twitter, DMs, writing 7-8 articles on Medium, to the point where he was kind of like taking notice. But it wasn't like, people don't actually jump on something so new because it's obviously not proven yet. So there's an element of risk for them, especially if they have a big platform, big audience, and then they need a lot of, like all of us, right? We need some convincing that this is the right thing to do, and we can put our name behind it. So as the developments on things like the listing, on with the blockchain exchange, the ability to withdraw funds, the kind of the growth of the platform becoming a lot more legitimate in more and more people's eyes. There was a lot of criticism at the start, but when some of these things around the code, made open source, again, the listing and so on, that lowered some of the barriers. And it was a case of me reminding people, not being aggressive or pushy or anything, but just saying, hey, by the way, this limitation, this content you had is not going to fall away. This is what I personally think about it, why I think it's a good thing for a writer or a content creator to join. Just in terms of like that decentralized creator economy, right? So you thing, and BitClout is a big part of that. And a lot of these people, like Tim is a top writer in things like DeFi, crypto, blockchain. So he kind of gets that naturally. And he's actually now he's writing full articles about BitClout, which is really cool. But also writers don't necessarily have that. They're more kind of general public. So then it's kind of a different challenge where it's more like they're not so interested in. I mean, they get the drawback of big centralized companies like Facebook and indeed Medium itself, but they're not in the technical details to kind of understand exactly what that means. So it's kind of like a step by step, taking it from a simple explanation and then more and more detailed knowledge, and then eventually they're happy to kind of give it a shot. And so far, everybody in the community, so I've probably personally onboarded about 10 people, and then indirectly probably another 10 or 15 or so who've come through BitClout saying, "Oh, I just read this article from you, and I'm just trying it out." And so far, I've not heard of anyone having a kind of negative experience or regretting that at all. And it seems like everybody's really engaged. Again, to the point where we have this Telegram group, and even I struggle to keep up with it, to be honest. There's probably like 100 new messages from yesterday. People are really excited about it. And then you get guys like Torsten, right, who's building obviously Clout Pub and all these other use cases. I don't know how he does it, but it's almost like building some specific use cases for content writers, amongst other niches and other user groups, which is really cool because he can tap into that community of writers to improve the product, improve the user experience on something like Clout Pub, or work on use cases that might be even more beneficial for writers. Bring even more of that community onto BitClout, onto that whole ecosystem. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much going on. And there's a lot of buzz, a lot of enthusiasm. I think for me, the good thing about writers as well, compared to other maybe segments of users on BitClout, say, is that they're less focused on things like the comp price and the training around it. They're definitely a lot more about the community building, engaging with readers, connecting with other writers. And I think that's why the response has been so positive from them. Is that they see the platform as a huge community building tool as well that they can tap into and be a part of, as opposed to a short-term, or even a financial gain thing. I mean, obviously that's part of it, but it's not really the main driver, if that makes sense. So it's a slightly different angle.
Absolutely.
Which I think personally is the right thing from a long-term perspective, right, of the platforms.
Absolutely. I think you touched on something really, really powerful there, Clement, that, it's like, how long have you been on BitClout, by the way?
Not so long, actually. I think it's just over 2 months now. I'll have to check my Prosper Cloud again. I lost count, but it's probably just over 2 months now.
I love the fact that it's like not too long, but in my head, I'm like, hang on, that's about 2 years.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. So anyone that's watching this on like the YouTube or Twitch live streams or wherever you might stumble across this, like BitClout literally is like, is it coming on 5 months, maybe? I think something like that. So like, 2 months is a good stretch of time. But and I think this is something that you're touching on here that I've started recognizing out there as well, is like, you watch these, it's like with any startup, right? Anything new, there's always these waves that happen. And it's like the collective behavior kind of just deals with change in all these interesting and fascinating ways. And which is, to be honest, one of my biggest loves of BitClout when I got on, because I love watching, how human consciousness deals with life and transformation. And BitClout is like the cutting edge of watching that in play. And it was something that you see so many people would jump straight in, they'd get ideas, they'd open up their coin, they'd start selling before this ideas even had a chance to percolate in their own head. And there was so much like, Wild West gold rush, business launching coins and all this thing. And then of course, anytime you see that, it's like, anyone going out to the nightclubs, dropping some pills, to get a big high. They're going to have one hell of a rush, but trust me, the next day is going to suck, right? And it's almost like the platforms had this kind of hangover in a way from that obsession with coin. And now I'm starting to notice it's almost like these other communities, like it's so awesome hearing what you're sharing about, the writers community and Telegram. And that's inspiring for me personally to get more involved as well on the writing side of things. And to hear that it's now moving beyond the coin to hang on a second, there's so much more than that here, right?
Yeah, totally. It's I think people are starting, maybe the first reason that they might come on the platform, some people might be just, attracted by the potential profit-making engine. I mean, which is a great way to hook people in. But then if they stay long enough, they will, whether it's on Telegram or Clubhouse or through some of these calls or, the main platform itself, it's quite evident that actually the big benefit around it is the kind of the network you can build and tap into and contribute to. And that's really exciting. I mean, like you said, it's kind of, for me, it's like this fascinating social experiment where you see these different use cases and you see people almost gravitating towards one or the other. And then you have these subgroups like writers. You've got tons of other subgroups, obviously, and sub-communities within the platform. And it's just fascinating to watch how that evolves over time. Like, what will the platform be used for primarily in a few months' time? Like, will we see, like with all these nodes popping up and all these subgroups, will we see will there still be a sense of like, one community around BitClout as an infrastructure, almost as an ideology as well? Or will it be like a lot more fragmented and actually people will more identify themselves with whatever sub niche they belong to within separate nodes as opposed to the main one? So it's just going to be fascinating to watch as well, like how things develop. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a really interesting contemplation. It's, it makes me think it's like, in the old world, social media, right? You got, Twitter, Instagram, all these kinds of different platforms. And it's almost like the platform is the thing that becomes the central focus, right? Like Facebook, it's just trying to be everything. And then your Instagram is images and Twitter is just shit stirring, pardon my expression. It's like they've just got all their kind of little focuses, right? Whereas it's really fascinating, like you say, watching where, I saw Nacho Average got up their node the other day and I logged on yesterday for the first time. And it's the first time that I really kind of got that, like actually experienced it where I didn't see BitClout mentioned anywhere, but it looks just like BitClout, right? But it's got the Nacho Average logo. It's got all these different things. They've got their own tweaks. And it made me really see, it's like you're saying, you could literally create just a writer's world that everything, the algorithms, everything are designed to support writers and each other. And it's like, that just opens up the potential of where this can go to who knows where, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think, you'll see a version of Instagram. Twitter is also obviously partially what the main node does. But then, you can definitely see a decentralized version of Medium. That's one of the first things I thought about is the potential to remove, any, again, middleman between the content creator, in this case, the writer and the reader. And for the first time ever, really, I think, to have the readers also benefit from the writer's success, again, through the kind of the coin dynamics as well. So, and also the coin create a long-term incentive when they're used in the right way. So I think the coin stuff is definitely not a bad use case at all, because if you see it from a long-term perspective, it creates that win-win between the content creator and the content consumer. Whereas traditionally, obviously, the platform captures most of the profits, and what's left is only captured by the content creators, and the people who actually engage basically don't get nothing, all right, out of it. So I think the potential is huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to change something really, or it's going to be interesting to see if it does change one of these fundamental elements. Because I see on social media, there's that need to kind of trigger people's fear response in so many ways, to kind of just irritate people, to get them to become active and draw them onto the platform. And because if the users aren't getting anything except the content, then often you have to kind of stir them up a little bit. Whereas, as you're saying that, I'm imagining attaching coin price. Like, for example, we can jump on and, someone could watch this interview, go, oh, this Clement's a really switched on guy. I love the way he thinks, his writing, and that little French accent that still sticks in there, which you hold it really well, man. And, they sit there and think, I want to invest in this guy. So if they could go onto, Medium and buy into your Medium coin, if it had that function, and that everyone wins, now they're going to be incentivized to share your writing around. They're going to be incentivized to take part in your success. And I think that's absolutely, like you say, the coin not being the sole focus, but one of the most powerful mechanics that are going to really enable just a reframing of everything, right? Like you say, win-win community. Yeah,
definitely.
I think I saw you post something about that on your BitClout around, how this is going to be expanding out.
I think so. And I think in the future, obviously there's legalities around it and so on, but brands as well will probably realize the potential there for, again, that two-way street between the consumer and the producer, whether that's producing content or digital goods or services or physical goods and services, and the people who consume that content. Because again, it's, with those mechanics, a bit like we're seeing with NFTs, it's kind of turning people who support you through your coins into your own kind of marketing army almost, because they're directly incentivized to promote your work, whether that's a product, an NFT, a piece of writing, whatever it might be, if they get the potential upside back from that engagement, which the coin dynamics do that. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Awesome, man. So around BitClout itself, so I guess one of the most fundamental questions for anyone is how did you actually come to BitClout? How did you find it? What drew you in?
So it's an interesting, I think probably like a lot of people, right? I came through it with being bombarded with a lot of negativity from everyone. And this was at a stage, obviously, where the code wasn't yet made open source. There was no kind of exchange listing even being announced. And I came through it through the famous, I'm sure you've seen it, the CoffeeZilla video where he basically, kind of put all these holes. Yeah. And so initially I saw that, and to be fair, because I trust this guy, I listen to all of his content, and he has a lot of valid points, and he does expose a lot of things that need to be exposed. And obviously at the time, some of his concerns were fairly valid. And at that point I was thinking, okay, I'm hearing about this from that angle. I'm also working with an influencer agency, and one of my friends there was telling me about BitClout and how influencers could use that to monetize their reputation and engage with their audience in a different way. So I started to think, okay, I need to not just rely on what people say, but actually give it a shot myself. And I quickly uncovered that someone like CoffeeZilla, who does the kind of the sensational kind of coverage, when you look under the cover, and especially with the developments of the past couple of months, it becomes clear that this is not someone who's actually taken the time to just log on themselves and actually see how the platform actually works, and some of the upside, the downside, and just understand how it all works. So I took the time to do that, and quickly realized that actually it was worth investing my time into it. And it was kind of overcoming that negativity from, in this case, a trusted source in that space, and just nothing replaces direct experience, right? And yeah, whether it's the mainstream media or someone, or even a closest friend, like you can't rely on anybody else's opinion. So you just give it a shot yourself. And for me, after a couple of weeks, big shout out to the French community on BitClout, like people like Charles _ED, Wilfried Chong, really top guys. They helped me to get on board and really understand some of the concepts, and that really helped as well. Again, the sense of community, you just quickly realize, it's saying that BitClout is a scam at the start would be kind of like saying the internet is a scam. Like, yes, there are scams, but it's not designed itself to be a scam, clearly. So yeah, it was just a case of overcoming those kind of initial niggles. And then, I started to engage more with Clubhouse rooms, Telegram groups, and spending quite a lot of time on the main platform itself, and just went from there, really.
Absolutely. That's awesome to hear. And I really like hearing about your experience through that, because it's something that definitely I saw CoffeeZilla, and there's a part of me that was so disappointed. I was like, look, man, if you're gonna attack it, that's awesome.
I know.
Do it properly. Go in there and look, But so it was awesome to see. And man, I would love to one day have him on here and actually say, hey, what was the experience like? How do you feel now? And
that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great. I wrote quite a long response to that video and trying to tag him as well, but it probably has 10,000 times before he doesn't see it. But yeah, because normally he's the kind of guy that would say, after a few months, or maybe I was wrong, or something changed, and doesn't update. So it'd be great for him to do that. But we'll see it.
And they're my favorite kind of people. Like, I'm all for a bit of, fun, sensational, because I get how it all works. We're writers, right? You got to kind of get people to get in there and enjoy the content. And it's something that I really admire a lot in a writer, in a presenter, blogger, YouTuber, whatever they are, is someone who can admit they're wrong, right? Because I think that's the most beautiful thing. And that's the beauty of what we do, is we can just recontextualize all the time. Now, that then brings me to another question. BitClout has been, like, one of the things that I loved about it was, and what kind of kept me in the very early days just stayed on, was, even if it was a scam, the way I saw it was, this is one of the most incredible gatherings of brilliant, curious minds, imaginative minds that were coming together to see how we would, what we could build together. And like you say, I think the key was jumping into Clubhouse calls, jumping into interactive things. It wasn't just the text. And from that, I've met so many incredible people. Alex, here with Clout Forum, Alex, you've been amazing. He's helped connect us to so many amazing characters along the way. So who are some of your favorite connections that you've made, and some of the networks that you've made on BitClout?
There's definitely been a few. I mean, for me, like the Crash and Shine brothers, obviously they played a huge part just because of their daily practice. I think they've been going on for like 150 days straight or something like that. Where it's like, it just gives you a quick snapshot, a quick update on the key things that are going on, so you can quickly get up to speed. And then the rooms that they host are just really engaging, interesting, like open to debate. And as a newcomer, that was really kind of really quite refreshing, because it's like an open forum. You can quickly engage with people, and it's just a really nice platform to kind of get started. But then, like I said, more specifically, like the French groups, there's like a French clubhouse room called the BitClout Bridges that's hosted by Charles Ed and Wilfried Chong, and that's been really good for me, because although I speak English, you always have this kind of thing with like people from your native country that you just have that natural connection.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure there's an Australian room. I think there's a Ukrainian room that Kabil Shop, so Natalie, has recently launched as well. So it kind of helps to like have a more natural connection with the platform. So yeah, these are definitely some of the people. The Barker Azi is also definitely one. Brandon Barker, really great community builder. He's kind of done a lot of things on Clubhouse and beyond to try and develop these use cases. That's been really great to kind of see. And then Torsten, more recently as well, just seeing, I mean, this guy has launched, 5 different use cases on the back of BitClout, CloutPub being one of them for writers. Obviously AdClout, and he's a really active member of our BitClout writer Telegram group as well. So it's been really fascinating to see someone who just builds so many use cases on top of the BitClout infrastructure, just like a lot of innovation. Then just seeing that mindset of innovation and saying, as a community, let's go out and build this rather than wait for a core team or someone to just do everything that or solves all the problem. That's really inspiring to see. So definitely, definitely, like you said, it's a collection of so many great, curious minds who just want to go out and build stuff and improve things. It's definitely great to be a part of that.
No, that's fantastic. Did you say Clout Pub?
Clout
was
Pub,
one of Torsten's?
Yes.
What's that one?
PUB. It's like a you could say it's like a decentralized version of Medium, or a cloud-empowered version of Medium, where you can post articles, write articles, engage with writers. You can, as a writer, you can put your content for free, or you can actually ask your readers to pay a sum of Clout to be able to access your content. And it's kind of adding new features on. So he's using our kind of writer group to get some early feedback, build some new features, like formatting tool and so on. So eventually it's very interesting. I mean, one of the top Medium writers, Tom Kugler, has basically kind of latched on that, and he's publishing quite a few articles on it and really supporting it. Now we've got people on Medium writing articles about CloutPub and how this could be a medium for Medium writers. So it's really cool. Definitely,
that's awesome.
Definitely a lot of innovation there. So
nice. Well, big shout out to Daniel Wilson and Country, who's here live with us in the Zoom call. And if anyone's watching live, you can join. The links on cloutforum.org. And he's saying as well, CloutPub is brilliant. And I mean, just the name caught me. As you said that, I was like, I could imagine sitting with some writers around, having a pint of Guinness and talking about some stories of what we're working on, And so which kind of brings us to like the importance of imagination in a lot of this innovation. And that's why I'm loving seeing so many fresh young faces coming in, the decentralized open source aspect, where, and I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges for people coming on board, is to understand that there is no central mum and dad to fix things. I mean, of course, there is in the beginning that Diamond Hands, etc., launching, but BitClout really is in the hands of the creators, right? It's up to us as a community. And so it's beautiful to see how those are growing.
Definitely. And that's just so unique. I mean, you can see Twitter or Facebook going, there you go, that's my code, make as many copies as you like, build upon it. It's just such a revolutionary thing. I mean, for me, I've never seen anything like it, where it's like the power is in the hand of the communities, and then developers come and help creators who don't have the tech skills necessarily to build on that. So it's just kind of, I think it's going to get more and more democratized, like things around simplifying code and tech. Anybody could eventually, I think, build something that is technically viable and that meets their specific needs as a creator or influencer or whatever it is. And it's quite exciting for sure.
And I think we're going to see a lot of, it's like, I think we're about to see evolution like very clearly in action, watching how, you look out in the natural world, right? Evolution, that nature tries new things, and some things fail and they die off, other things succeed and they continue. And in a way, it's like, I think that's something where I'm looking forward to more kind of conversations around this, to help, for people to help kind of understand that, what we're part of is something quite organic, as opposed to a controlled evolution, which is really exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. And again, it's going to be fascinating to see will people rally around the main, like the BitClout is almost as a brand, as a community, as an ideology, or again, will there be more like specific use cases that people gravitate towards? And obviously, I'm aware that the main domain itself, bitclout.com, is not, I think, not going to be renewed beyond the first year, if I'm correct. I think there was the announcement. So
if it's ready, yeah, exactly. Yeah. The original bitclout.com sooner or later is to be taken away, and it will be run by the decentralized world. But when it's ready, I believe, sooner than later.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it's just your mind starts to race about all the kind of possibilities that are out there. Really cool.
Absolutely right. It's even in politics, in economics, and all these different things. It's this idea of a platform like BitClout that is, when it becomes fully decentralized, where we can say, oh, you're not allowed to do that, and it's like, might not be allowed to do it according to the government, but there's no central point of power to stop it from happening in some way. So it's like it's going to open up this really interesting interaction, really, between the responsibilities on the users, how they use it, as opposed to the platform. And so it's going to be fascinating, man.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, actually, because I wonder how will the community kind of self-govern going forward? Because obviously right now we have 3, 4, maybe 5,000 tops daily active users, but when that number blows up, there will be some type of content or users or people who have malicious intents perhaps who will jump on this for a quick cash grab or whatever it is. And it's like, because it's decentralized, like you say, no one can technically stop them, right? No one can say you don't have the right to do this. Might not be right, but you can't take them off. So it's like, how will we then go beyond that to keep the community kind of safe in a sense? And just fascinating to watch, like how that evolves.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So now that's a topic I could sit and talk with you for hours on end. As right as I'm sure we could go deep into that rabbit hole. And I hope, Clement, that we do have many more interactions as we go forwards. But what I want to bring up here is I really want to ask you myself is, because I've just been looking through and looking at what you're getting up to. And so I saw, is it melon.ooh?
Yeah, that's the one.
Talk to me about this. It was fast. First impressions, I had a look at it, went to the website, and the colors, the imagery, it just felt like something that I could identify with without even really knowing what I'm looking at. That whereas, BitClout can be, and blockchain can be a little bit kind of tech and out there. And so straight off the bat, it felt warm and welcoming. So I was really looking forward to hearing from you. What is melon.ooh?
Definitely. Yeah. So that's exactly the intent behind it. So Melon is basically the NFT platform for influencers and fans. So if you think about NBA Top Shots, where effectively you have video clips of like the key basketball players and the top moments, this is the NBA Top Shot for social content. So a big influencer like Nicki Minaj, a big artist like whoever your favorite singer is, or any kind of social media influencer, whether it's on TikTok or Instagram or even BitClout actually, can very, very simply take their existing social media content and within a few clicks and literally at no cost can turn that into an NFT. So effectively, it's kind of opening up the world of NFTs to anyone who has an audience online and existing content, where they can literally put the link, very simply the URL to say their most viral or their first TikTok video, and turn that into an NFT, which has the metadata and all the contract address and so on, that lives on the Binance Smart Chain blockchain. And then their fans can collect, buy, and sell those NFTs right off the platform. And technically, I mean, for me, the really genius thing behind it is that we are using a cross-chain token. So in future, the NFTs from those social media influencers that are minted or sold on the melon.oo platform could also be cross-pollinated and sold on the likes of OpenSea, Rarible, even potentially in the future BitClout. We could build the bridge to BitClout. But what we want to do is kind of unbundle the big NFT marketplace, right? Where you have the likes of OpenSea, where you see meme art, hardcore digital art, music, web domains, and it's just a jungle out there. We want to take that and really give a platform for social media influencers, which is in itself a huge market. I think in the US, influencer marketing itself is like 8 billion a year as a market. and just giving them a platform to really interact with their fans without an intermediary. So I think the platform is there to facilitate that exchange, but it's a decentralized model as well, with no fees taken from either the creator or the fan, which is also revolutionary compared to the likes of consumer wearable, where you have up to 15% fees, some of them, when you buy and sell NFTs. Obviously, you have the gas fees and so on. We can remove that and let the influencers and the fans have a direct relationship through NFTs in the simplest way possible. So like you said, the aim is to, yeah, we don't want to look like a big tech complex technology or whatever. It's kind of, if you think of your average social media influencer who might not even know that much about blockchain or crypto or NFTs, we want to educate them on that and provide them literally the simplest platform and the simplest user experience for their fans to get in the NFT space. Basically, that's what we're doing. And the platform is launching this month, so it's super exciting. So that's why I'm putting out more content on Medium, BitClout, LinkedIn, Twitter, and so on to get the word out about it, because I think it's going to be a really great kind of experiment to bring that whole social media kind of influencer and social media fan market into the NFT space. So.
That's awesome, man. And that term, unbundle, actually caught me as well when I was reading through the blurbs and quickly going over it. And I think it is, because it's one of those things, I for better or worse, deleted my Facebook account. I felt a little bit like an overtouched mother with a new baby. And when I found BitClout, I was like, this is my heaven. It's my kind of people. And, and also I realized that on the old social media, I'd kind of created a persona and an expectation of that persona that was kind of, and then I felt a little bit like, hey, Siri, people were messaging me all the time for all kind. And it's you started getting a little bit overwhelming. And so I kind of found BitClout and I was, I'm done, right? And I'm out. But one of the things I love about this, right, is because one thing that would do my head in about Facebook is it's kind of everything, right? It's everything, it's just, it's all, like you said, bundled, everything bundled into this noisy space. And I love this idea. It's like what I'm seeing with nodes, the potential of nodes on BitClout, like you can literally create communities that and focus it for its function, right? Without needing to spend fortunes on advertising the rest on Facebook. And so this idea of unbundling NFTs, and these markets so that you can really connect to whatever you're interested in. It just, that sounds like heaven. It sounds like it's going to make it so much more digestible to the average person.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? It's often the way it starts, right? Like even those all those companies that started off from Redding forums where they saw that a huge demand from a specific user group, but that user group is not being served by the current solutions. So if you look at the marketplaces today, it's again they're trying to serve every single need, every single niche under the sun that might be interested into NFTs, but therefore they're not serving anyone as much as as well as they could if they were to just focus on one. And because the great thing about focusing on one niche within the NFT space, for example, is you can obviously cater to their needs very specifically. So in this case, social media influencers and social media fans, again, they might not be super crypto savvy. They might want a very, very simple experience. That's no hassle, low fees, and therefore we can provide that to them because we build a solution that's 100% for them. So that's kind of that's the whole thing of unbundling, right? And definitely Facebook is kind of like this Salesforce or Oracle of kind of social media, and they're almost trying to cover all the bases. But it's just like you say, it's just overwhelming because and as a user, it feels like it's not really built for you for a specific use case that you're really interested in because it tries to cover all the bases. So it's a different strategy.
That's awesome. So so how what is your involvement in Melon? How did you get involved? Like what's
it's interesting. So I learned about them so my friends are running their own TikTok influencer agency called tictal.co, tictal.co, which is basically linking up brands with social media influencers that have viral videos and millions of followers on TikTok. And their founder actually learned about Melon, and I just got interested. So I contacted the founder, Tom. We got on a call with that agency, which is now a partner of Melon, to bring on some of their influencers onto Melon and really introduce them to the world of NFTs as well as their fans. And from there, I just proactively started to write about Melon because I think, as a decentralized platform for the creator economy is something I write a lot about myself as a creator on Medium and so on. And so I just got really passionate about it. And eventually, I think that, they saw me writing a lot of content and so on, and they basically said, like, we just need you on the team, so come and join the team. I'm not formally part of the core team behind it, which is really cool. And yeah, trying to educate people about it and write some great content about it, and so on. So that's my role within it. It's more around producing content, creating useful connections. So we even had a call with Mario Nafal a few weeks back. Other investors are coming on board. So we have Shima Capital actually, who are one of the investors behind our very own BitClout, who also invested in us in Melon. So it's really exciting to build all these connections and creating all that content around it. So that's my jam at the moment. That's the second project I'm focusing on apart from Medium. I think I mentioned earlier I've got 2 main projects. That's the second one.
Gotcha. So I dare ask, what's the first one?
So yeah, the first one is purely my own articles through Medium, where I just write about, whatever, all my other topics. The other one is the content that's specifically around the Melon platform, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm with you. No, and man, just in the time we've spent together in this small amount of time, I can see, Clement, you're an incredible man. Your imagination, you got such a big heart. I can feel that kind of, genuine curiosity that you have. Like, what an asset for the company. So, and then that again is something that I'm loving about the blockchain community. The all the innovations that are happening. It's like all the old rules of networking, business, like all these of like, especially old suit and tie thing, it's all out the window, right? Now it's a simple case is, can you see the vision? If you can see the vision and you can contribute, then come on board, and people are you're getting the most interesting combinations of people.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so much passion in there, right? You can get into debates with someone about what's the best ERC token out there, and it's like go down this huge rabbit hole. But then also you get people who are just passionate about just being part of a community that's so vibrant. So there's a real buzz around it. So it's really good. I think the power of community and kind of networks you can build on here is huge. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, fantastic. Last question on Melon. Do you know where the name came from?
So I think
Melon.oo.
Yeah, it's the thing. So we're based in the UK, and I guess it's a thing about quirky English, like British style humor, right? Where it's kind of like like the name is supposed to. It's both fun because we want people to have fun with NFTs on this platform. So like I think that name just sort of came up, and it's a really good way to kind of build a visual identity around it that people can just stick with. It's quite memorable. But apart from that, it's more the fun aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think it's genius because it worked on me. And it's I think that's, I've said this in so many different moments, but it really sits to me as one of the keys to the future is fun. We got to have fun now. Like we got to stop this separation of business and play. It's like, and that's what I'm loving seeing. Like with Melon is like I felt that there, and I was like, this is a good sign.
That's very true. Especially when you talk about fairly complex things like blockchain or crypto or whatnot. It's like the more fun you make it, the more accessible you make it, the simpler the process is for people to get involved, the more they're likely to come on board. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, beautiful. So just noticing that we've got a little bit of time left. We're coming towards the end of the session, and genuinely, Clement, I could sit here and talk to you for hours on end. I know, Alex, I think you usually have some interesting questions, but also if anyone's watching on the Twitch or YouTube stream and you want to throw in some questions for Clement, then throw them in. We'll get them in the chat and bring them on. And just while we're waiting for that and for anything to come in there, and Alex, if you get your questions ready. Before you do, Alex, I got one last question for you, Clement, which is, do you have a vision of where this is heading? And what is that?
This as in the entire kind of the BitClout experiment?
The BitClout experiment, your engagement, not with Melon, BitClout, kind of the future of this decentralization. Yeah. I think, right now the main barriers is just like, when I speak to my non-crypto friends, my fiance was a medic, it's like people don't have the headspace to put in like Gary Vee says, the 50 hours of research to kind of understand the basics of this, right? 50 hours just to understand the basics and get your head around what's going on, the space is happening, everything is changing so fast. It's very overwhelming for people who are not natively in that space. But I think what's happening over the next few years probably is a radical simplification, right? Where blockchain will be something that just runs in the background, like some random app on your phone without you even knowing about it, to the point where users in the general public will be able to use it and benefit from it
but without having through the hoops of understanding the nitty-gritty, the process, like things with like managing wallets and all the rest of it, I think would be simplified, but in a way that still maintains the benefits of things like blockchain and decentralization. I think whoever cracks that, right, is going to be doing very well in the future, because that's the key to the mass adoption, right? Yeah, it's giving people the benefit, of course, education, but cutting down that 50 hours of research that realistically you need to do to actually, even get your foot in the door in that space, because it's just such a rabbit hole, right? And eventually, something like BitClout will probably go through that same evolution where, I've heard the core team are working on some pretty cool kind of onboarding things, again, to make the process simpler and easier to understand. But it's probably an evolution of keeping the benefit, keeping the core ideology, the decentralization, the blockchain logic, but making it in a way that's, again, fun and kind of easy to engage with, like right from the start. How we do that, when I look at Melon, I think we're doing that really well. It's literally, like easy as 1, 2, 3 to create an NFT, to set it, to even attach some utility, some unique rewards for your fans to it. And I think more and more platforms like BitClout and other projects will naturally go through that transition if they are to gain mass adoption. And obviously, blockchain is a very young field. Probably a few decades since the first kind of technical conception of it, but really from the general public's perspective, it's like, it's like a toddler that's learning to walk. It's very, very early on, and therefore the tech can be clunky, can be overwhelming, can be off-putting for people. But over time, I think the big thing is like simplifying, making the UX so slick and, like you said, super fun, that people just want to engage with it. Because right now, if I'm talking to some friends or whatever, and I try to keep it, very, very simple, even in my articles and so on. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of education to do at the moment, because the user experience, the user interface is just not. It has some barriers, which I think is good, because you need to be educated. You want people actually to be passionate about it, learn about it. But at the end of the day, most people don't have that headspace. And it's not just the general public, which is why we also created Melon. It's also people like influencers on social media. Like these guys are already, making quite a lot of money from TikTok or whatever, to ask them, and I had that challenge personally when I onboarded an influencer on BitClout, to ask them to learn a new platform, spend more time on it without having a direct payoff is a very tough ask for them. But I think if you can simplify the experience, make it really like nice and clean, super slick user interface, blockchain running in the background without you having to even to really know that it's there even, but still getting the benefits from it. Yeah, I think that would be the kind of next big thing. I don't know, maybe it's a 5, 10 plus years, but I think that's got to come for sure.
Man, I think you just summarized that so well. And to be honest, in the back of all that, in my head, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm making sure I subscribe to your Medium and start reading your articles, because I love the way you really do have a talent for making this digestible. And so I'm going to be studying your work, my friend. All right. So now I'm going to bring on Alex now. So, Alex, by the way, I just want to say here as well, for anyone watching, Alex Broken, Alex, I'm just going to throw you out here under the bridge. Alex has been doing all the work to bring Cloutform to BitClout to the world. You often don't see his face because his internet connection and video, it's a bit hard for him to get the video to work at the same time. So that's the reason you haven't seen his face, but we're working on that. And Alex, keep an eye on this guy, because he has been incredible. He's made all this possible. So now that I've talked you up enough, Alex, why don't you come on and ask these questions? Always love what you bring to the table, my friend.
Oh, Mark, thank you very much. And it's a really tough challenge for me to ask questions or talk about something after your words, but I'll try. Clement, I will have just short questions for you, but you can ask them as long as you want.
Sure.
So is it a French or English breakfast for you in the morning?
French, man. The only thing about the UK is, they don't have proper bread, they don't have proper coffee, so that's the only thing I miss about being here. But yeah, French all the way for sure.
Okay, Fyodor Dostoevsky or Ernest Hemingway?
Probably Hemingway, I would say.
Cool. Big Ben or Eiffel Tower?
Ooh, Eiffel Tower. Paris is no match. Paris is no match. There's so much culture, so much art. Definitely Eiffel Tower. Yeah, I love London, but Paris is where my heart is.
What song do you sing when taking a shower?
I don't actually sing songs. I beatbox. I'm not going to do that here, but I I used to do some beatbox, so when I'm in the shower, I do some of that.
Wow, cool.
Next
you're going to
episode,
show
Clement.
us?
Next episode.
Next one, exactly. Yeah. Build up the hype.
Okay. Making an NFT or writing a book?
Both. Do both. Do both, man.
Good
That's
choice.
the genius of it. Like King's Leon released the album as an NFT. Like, imagine J.K. Rowling doing a Harry Potter series as an NFT, and if you buy in early, you get 10% of the royalties as an early buyer, as a fan, and as the profile goes up, as the books sell millions and millions, you get a percentage back from that. That's going to change the game, I think. Again, consumer, creator, dynamic, mutually beneficial. That's going to change the game. So I would love to do both. Yeah, both at once.
Good choice, man. I agree with you 100%. And what book would you write? What topic is close to you?
So yeah, I'm very passionate about education. So I volunteer as a teaching assistant in a school in London. So like a Saturday program for kind of inner city kids, just to get education levels up, hopefully give them a better chance for the future and stuff like that. So I would love to do something that educates people on all these key topics, whether it's personal finance, how blockchain and NFTs and crypto are relevant for people's future, like financially, socially, and so on and so forth. And again, simplify these things so that people can get involved. Because right now, what's the challenge about the space is a lot of people who could potentially benefit the most are almost excluded from that because of the tech jargon, because of all the barriers around it, and all the headspace it takes to kind of invest the time and the learning into it. I would love to do something that breaks that down and educates all the people that currently are not involved in the space that could probably the most benefit from it, right? How, I have no idea, but I would love to combine those two things: passion for education and simplifying things, and crypto, blockchain, NFTs, and just, I don't know, merge something together there. But I'll have to think about it.
I'm looking forward to see this book, and I'm definitely going to buy NFT if I have a chance. So the last one. Your top 3 favorite books. As you're a writer, I can't stand to ask you this.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, it's kind of funny, but what got me into creative writing as a kid might sound cheesy, but the Harry Potter series, right? The whole creativity, the whole imagination, it takes you out of your day-to-day. That's where I kind of fell into the whole of kind of writing and reading initially. But obviously, as I matured, I've got a number of French philosophers and even poets that I really like François Schenck, who's quite a prominent French writer. But I guess definitely top 2 then would be Yuval Harari's 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Because again, for me, it's so exciting to just think about the future. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a chapter about blockchain, but it talks about things that are related to that. And it's just like things that talk about the future and make those speculations, but data-backed research and insights into what the future might look like across all the different fields in society and economics, technology, and so on. I really love that stuff. That would be the second one. And maybe the third one, I'm trying to think. The third one, I got so many on my shelf. Third one, there's a really interesting one, actually. Ray Dalio, the famous investor. Principles, his book about principles for life and work. It's basically like condensing, I think, about 40, 50 years of experience that he's had into a book that is this thick, but you can quickly flick through and pick out what you need. How to deal with a difficult situation at work or personally, how to make key strategic decisions. It's kind of like you're drinking from the horse's mouth, really. And I also really love that because it's really practical stuff. You can really implement in your life, in your business, and you're learning from someone who's done, a lot of things that you might want to do in your own life. So that would be my third one, I guess. Yeah.
Wow, cool, man. I totally agree with you. All 3 choices are just marvelous. And the last one, what's your favorite hobby that helps you to relax and just to go outside of the real world?
Yeah, I'm a big hiker. So as much as I can spend time in the outdoors. I also do bouldering, which is a type of rock climbing, both outdoors and indoors. That's really, I guess, my stress reliever. It's just like, it's so difficult that you have to focus. So you can't just think about anything else, and it just focuses your mind. to the point where you forget about whatever worries you might have on your mind, and that's really quite therapeutic sometimes. So definitely climbing, bouldering, yoga, hiking, a mixture of all these things. Definitely good for the mind, good for the body. So that's my main thing really when it comes to switching off.
Yeah, you are really in a good shape, and we can see this, that you prefer active.
I need to put on some weight. I'm a bit skinny right now.
No, but okay. I won't proceed with this talk. We can talk about that later. So we have questions from Daniel and Kanchi. Guys, please join the conversation.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for an amazing chat. It's been a blast to listen to you. I'm hearing a lot from people because social is still new to plenty of us, right? So I'm hearing a lot from them. What should I write about? Like so they have like this, I call it a newbie writer's block, right? In the sense that people don't realize how easy it is, but also hard, to find the right content, right? Words or pictures or memes, right? It's all about the thought that we want to put and that we want to communicate. So I was wondering if you have any, aces that you could pull from your sleeve and share it with those newbie writers that don't know what to put on the social network.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. That's a great question. I think for me, it comes back to just identifying maybe the top 3 topics that you really care about. Because what you're passionate about, you could write all day, you won't burn out. I've made the mistake in the past of launching businesses or writing about things that I'm not passionate about, and you can go for a few months, but then you just lose interest. But if you're really passionate about a specific topic, just go all out on that, and really just keep. Even if you don't get the engagement initially, you build up your profile as an expert in that area, and that's really powerful. Whether that's on BitClout, Medium, Twitter, whatever it is. And I think there's power in consistency as well. So maybe stick with that. Whether it's 1 or top 3 topics, maybe that are related, but that you really, really care about. And I would say maybe just go all in on those ones.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much. This has been great, especially on a European time zone. Really, really grateful for an event that I can attend while America sleeps. Yeah, no, a question about, can you share more of your ideas about future use cases for nodes after watching Melon.oo come together? Certainly you've had some other ideas and insights about use cases that maybe some people, maybe future listeners of this could actually implement.
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about different verticals that could be, could have a use case with the BitClout infrastructure, and there's a few ones. So if you look at something like sports, right, where Lionel Messi just recently was partly paid for his new contract with PSG with some fan tokens, basically. Those fan tokens give supporters a direct line of communication with the football club that he's part of, and they can trade that token, they can benefit. So in the world of sports, where there's a really high personal connection between people who watch and follow these sports, people, athletes, whether it's football, UFC, boxing, F1, you name it, that relationship between the fan and the athlete, and having that, again, that two-way street where a fan can support an athlete, but they also benefit from that as the athlete's reputation go up, the value of their token goes up, they can trade it, they can unlock unique benefits from that. I think you can definitely take that to someone like BitClout with the coin dynamics. So there could be a node that is very specifically around building relationships with celebrities across specific niches, like sports is a very highly engaged niche, like people just go crazy about this stuff now, and they're really passionate about it. They follow their their favorite sports people. They want to support them. They also want to have a chance to communicate with them. Maybe have some input into some key decisions of a football club or whatever it is, and also benefit from the rise in reputation or performance of their favorite teams. And with the coin dynamics, you can definitely build something on that, like with a separate node, probably a separate kind of front end that really caters to that need. And I think that could be quite powerful. I think the other second use case I'm thinking of along the same lines is again, there'll be legal challenges to that, I'm sure, but from a brand's perspective, so far I haven't seen any kind of, I've had someone message me actually who works for a retail brand saying, hey, how could I use BitClout? Could I offer my account holders an exclusive release of a certain package of my product or whatever it is. I thought that was great, but I'm not seeing the big brands come on board yet. It's probably too early, of course. But there could be a separate node where, again, you have that dynamic between consumers and brands. I'm a big Nespresso fan. I've got a machine right here, actually. It was gifted. And I would love to own some Nespresso token or some Nespresso creator coin in exchange for a unique barista coffee that they release once a year, or like a monthly subscription of coffee or whatever it is, and again, having that dynamic where I can later resell that coin if I want to profit from that or give those benefits to someone else, or just hold it and see the value go up as the brand releases more products, as the brand captures more market share. There's that could be a fascinating use case right there. And then you open up a direct line of communication between the brand and the consumers, direct to brand, direct to consumer. And once you open up that gate, there could be so much innovation in the space, because then you tap into branded, metaverse as well. Like we've seen brands like Coke do some quite cool stuff with NFTs and metaverse. You could bring that into that whole creator con dynamic as well, backed by the BitClout infrastructure. Yeah, there's just so much potential right there, I think. For me, it's all about that consumer / fan to producer / creator relationship. However many verticals there are where there's a fan to consumer relationship dynamic, that's a use case right there where you can build a two-way beneficial relationship that currently isn't there outside of BitClout, as I see it. So
that's
great. Thank you
an
so much.
incredible answer.
Cheers.
Hey, Daniel, thanks for the question, man. And Kanchi as well. Thanks for joining in. And Alex, let's take note. Europe is ready, which is great for me in Australia. It's 4 p.m. when I started this call, so works good for us. It's always crazy, Clement, trying to do these ones where you want to get Europe, America, and Australia. Yeah. It's like, that's a challenging one. Yeah. All right, well, fantastic.
I know initially you were planning, thanks for moving the time as well, because initially it was quite a late time to capture the US audience, I think, so appreciate that.
Well, it kind of feels, I'm a big fan. We see what happens. And I think just by seeing the vibe of, and Kanchi and Daniel, thanks for joining us and having this kind of, it's like, great. Then it means the US have got something to wake up and watch, and we can make sure we've got a little bit on all different markets. Cause it's pretty challenging covering everything at once, which I guess is the dilemma of BitClout right now, right? It's like you were describing the node possibilities. They're literally infinite, right? It's like as far as your imagination can stretch is what you can do with these nodes and BitClout and the mechanisms. And right, we got to unbundle it.
Exactly. No, that's so right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
We got to unbundle our time zones now.
No, you guys.
All right. Well, yeah, really appreciate you coming on, Clement. Really, really appreciate it. I've had so much fun in this chat and getting to know you. I'm really looking forward actually to, in some spare time, getting to see more of your work and your writing and things. So I'm sure everyone watching as well has enjoyed. Thank you, Daniel, Kanchi, for coming. Again, Alex, thank you so much, man, for organizing and bringing your magic to the table. And hopefully we do it again soon. Clement, would you have to come on again sometime?
Can't believe it's been an hour. Brilliant. It's gone like a bleach.
I know, right? and look, I'd love to be doing long form. That's my personal ideal, is just sit for 3 hours, Joe Rogan style. But we'll keep it digestible for now. And then as the demand picks up, we'll go deeper and deeper.
All right. Thanks so much, Kanchi and Daniel. And